He swore up and down she was just a friend from the gym. I showed up for a trial class. She introduced herself to me like she'd never heard my name. I said, "That's funny, he yells it in his sleep." I met Jake in 2012 at a 4th of July barbecue in Austin, Texas. He was tall, charming, and had a laugh that could light up a room. We started dating shortly after and, within a year, moved in together. By 2015, we were married. Life felt perfect. We bought a cozy house in the suburbs, adopted a golden retriever named Max, and settled into what I thought was a happy, stable life. Jake was always into fitness. He'd hit the gym 5 days a week, sometimes even twice a day. He claimed it helped him manage stress from his job in tech sales. I admired his dedication, even if I didn't share the same enthusiasm for working out. Around late 2019, I started noticing changes. Jake became more secretive with his phone, often stepping out to take calls or turning his screen away when I was nearby. He'd come home later than usual, blaming work or extended gym sessions. Our intimacy dwindled, and he seemed emotionally distant. One evening, while folding laundry, I found a receipt in his jeans pocket for a dinner at a fancy restaurant I'd never been to. The date and time matched when he said he was working late. When I confronted him, he brushed it off, saying it was a client dinner. I wanted to believe him, but a nagging feeling persisted. Determined to find the truth, I decided to do some digging. I checked our shared calendar and noticed recurring entries labeled Gym with Sarah. I recalled him mentioning a new workout partner from the gym, but he always insisted she was just a friend. Curious, I looked up the gym schedule and saw they offered trial classes. I signed up for one on a day Jake had a session with Sarah. I wanted to see this friend for myself. The day of the trial class arrived. I dressed in workout gear and headed to the gym. Upon arrival, I was greeted by a fit, bubbly woman who introduced herself as Sarah. I extended my hand and said, "That's funny, he yells my name in his sleep." Her face turned pale. She stammered, trying to compose herself. I didn't need further confirmation. Her reaction said it all. That evening, I confronted Jake. He denied everything at first, but eventually admitted to the affair. He claimed it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, and begged for forgiveness. But the trust was shattered. I filed for divorce shortly after. It was a painful process, but I knew I deserved better. I leaned on friends and family for support and focused on rebuilding my life. While going through the divorce proceedings, I discovered that Jake had been using our joint account to fund lavish gifts for Sarah. I gathered all the evidence and presented it to my attorney. In court, this information worked in my favor, ensuring a more favorable settlement. But I wasn't done. I knew Sarah was a personal trainer trying to build her clientele. I left honest reviews on her professional pages, detailing her involvement in the affair. I didn't use profanity or slander. I simply stated the facts. Her reputation took a hit, and she lost several clients. Post-divorce, I took time to heal. I started therapy, picked up new hobbies, and even joined a different gym. I focused on self-care and rediscovered passions I had set aside during my marriage. Max, our golden retriever, remained by my side, offering unconditional love. A year later, I heard through mutual friends that Jake and Sarah's relationship had ended. Apparently, trust issues plagued their union. I felt a sense of closure, knowing that their betrayal didn't lead to lasting happiness. Today, I'm in a much better place. I've started a new job, made new friends, and even begun dating again. The experience taught me the importance of self-worth and the strength I possess. While the betrayal was painful, it led me to a path of self-discovery and empowerment. Looking back, I realized that confronting the truth, though painful, was necessary. It allowed me to break free from a toxic relationship and rebuild a life filled with authenticity and joy. To anyone facing a similar situation, trust your instincts, seek support, and remember that you deserve happiness and respect. 3 weeks after the trial class, I started getting weird calls. Unknown numbers. No one said anything on the other end, just heavy breathing or silence. It happened late at night, sometimes around 2 or 3 a.m. At first, I thought it was some scammer, but after the fourth night in a row, I felt it in my gut. It was either Jake or Sarah. Or both. Then my car tires got slashed. All four. I walked out one morning on my way to work and saw it. For flat, dead tires and something carved into my driver's side door. A single word. Slut. I stood there staring at it, hands shaking, heart pounding. My neighbor, Mrs. Klein, came out to water her plants and gasped. She was in her 70s, always nosy, always watching. She walked over and said, "Sweetheart, I saw someone near your car last night. Tall man. Couldn't see much else, but he had a hoodie on. Stayed out there for a while." I thought it was strange, but I didn't want to cause a fuss. I thanked her, went back inside, and called the police. They came, took a report, but I knew nothing would come of it. No cameras, no witnesses besides Mrs. Klein's vague description. Still, I had a strong feeling it was Jake. I texted him. Didn't ask. Just said, "Stay away from my house. If you or Sarah do anything else, I'll go to the police." Again. He replied within seconds, "You're paranoid. Get help." That response made me angrier than the tires. The smugness in it. The way he deflected and tried to paint me as the crazy one. Later that week, I went to the gym, the new gym. I had been going 3 times a week, mostly to clear my head. It wasn't until after my Friday class that I noticed someone watching me from across the parking lot. Black SUV, windows tinted, engine idling. When I looked directly at it, it drove off. I started documenting everything, every call, every weird incident. I kept a folder on my computer. I even got a dash cam and set up a Ring doorbell camera. Whatever was happening, I wasn't going to just sit around and take it. The following Monday, I got a call from my old friend Melanie. We hadn't talked in months, but she was the type to keep up with gossip. "You need to hear this," she said. "Sarah's pregnant. Jake is telling people it's his." I sat there frozen, the phone to my ear. "What?" I whispered. Melanie continued. "She's posting baby bump pictures. He's liking them, commenting. But here's the kicker. He told her he was divorced because you cheated on him with your boss." I almost dropped the phone. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was that dry, empty kind of laugh you do when you've been punched in the stomach. He was rewriting the story, turning himself into the victim, making me the villain, and now dragging a child into the mess. I didn't respond publicly, but privately, I decided I wasn't done yet. I dug through my old laptop, found a folder I had long forgotten, screenshots, photos, text messages. Proof of his affair. Pictures of him and Sarah together at the same restaurant from the receipt. Even a selfie he accidentally sent me that clearly wasn't meant for me. He was shirtless, in bed, and I could see Sarah's reflection in the mirror behind him. I sent that folder to his boss at the tech company where he still worked. Along with a polite message, "Just wanted to pass along some info about one of your employees. Jake has been using company resources for personal rendezvous and lying about client dinners. See attached." Corporate doesn't care about personal drama, but they care about misuse of company money. And Jake had used his work card for plenty of those dinners. A week later, he was fired. He showed up at my door. That same black SUV I'd seen in the parking lot. He didn't knock. Just stood there like a ghost. I watched him through the peephole. He looked different, ragged, pale, eyes sunken in. I opened the door just enough to speak. "What do you want?" He stepped back, raised his hands. "You win." "Okay." "I'm ruined." I stared at him. "You ruined yourself." He looked at me for a long time. She left. That part didn't surprise me. The baby? There is no baby. Fake. Just to keep me around. Then she found someone else richer. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. He stood there in silence until I closed the door. I didn't say anything else. Didn't need to. I watched him through the window as he got back in the car. He sat there for a while, then drove off. That was 3 days ago. And now? Someone left a note under my windshield wiper this morning. No envelope. Just one sentence. You ruined my life. Now I'll ruin yours. The handwriting was messy, rushed. Could have been him. Could have been her. Maybe someone else entirely. But I'm ready now. I've been through fire and I came out stronger. If they want to play games, they'll learn I've got moves of my own. The note shook me, but I didn't panic. I scanned it, took photos, slid it into a Ziploc, and added it to the folder. At this point, that folder was starting to feel like my own personal true crime archive. I also reported the note to the police, even though I knew it wouldn't lead to anything. Just needed it on record. Later that day, I went in my mailbox and found a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single photo. Me, walking Max, taken from behind. Nothing threatening written on it. Just the image. That scared me more than the note. Because it meant someone was watching me. Getting close enough to take pictures, but staying hidden. I checked the time stamp from the Ring camera. Nothing. Whoever it was had approached from the blind spot between the side fence and my neighbor's hedge. Someone who knew where my cameras were. Jake or Sarah wouldn't know that. Then I remembered something. A few months before everything blew up, Jake had a friend from work crash at our place for a week. Name was Travis. Ex-military. Beard. Quiet guy. I didn't think much of him at the time. Just another coworker. But once I remembered him, I realized something else. He'd shown up at the gym a few times. Not often, but enough. I remembered Jake laughing about how Travis didn't do cardio, only war prep. I hadn't thought about Travis in over a year. But I had this creeping feeling that maybe Jake hadn't just told me lies. I reached out to Melanie again, asked if she'd heard anything about Travis. She came back the next day with more than I expected. Girl, she said, you remember that friend of Jake's? Big guy, beard, like ex-Navy or something. Word is, after Jake got fired, he was couch surfing. With Travis. That settled it. If Jake had been staying with him, and Travis had access to security knowledge, cameras, all that, then maybe Jake had helped this whole time. I didn't wait. I hired a private investigator. His name was Lionel, old school guy who didn't say much, but moved fast. I gave him all the details, names, dates, the photo, the note, the SUV. A week later, he came back with something I didn't see coming. Your ex isn't just mad, Lionel said. He's broke. And desperate. But here's the twist, he's not trying to scare you for revenge. He's trying to push you to sell the house. What? I blinked at him. He still has his name on part of the deed. You refinanced before the divorce, but didn't remove him from the property title. He's trying to tank your comfort here, so you'll give up the house. Sell. Split the profit. I felt sick. How had I missed that? Lionel continued. But it gets worse. He owes money. To someone real shady. I don't know if this Travis guy is just a buddy or if he's the enforcer now. I was speechless. My home, the one place that still felt like mine, was being used as leverage. And worse, my safety was just another tool in his hands. I called my lawyer the next morning. We started the paperwork to sever all remaining financial ties. The house, the last thread, would be mine. But it would take a few months. Until then, I had to play it smart. I installed 2 new cameras. I changed all the locks. I started parking in a friend's driveway 2 streets over and walking home just so no one knew when I came and went. Then one night, I got a text from a random number. Hope you're enjoying your peace. Tick-tock. I didn't sleep that night. But Lionel came through again. He traced the burner number to a prepaid phone purchased at a Walmart in San Marcos. He pulled the security cam footage from the store through a contact. Guess who showed up on screen? Not Jake. Sarah. She was alive and well. And clearly still in this mess. And the craziest part? She wasn't pregnant. She never had been. Lionel pulled her recent records. She had a brief stint at a wellness retreat in Arizona. On her intake forms, she listed herself as single, no dependents, and under a different name, Sophia Trent. Jake had been duped just as much as I had. She used him. Faked the pregnancy to keep him attached, probably so he'd support her while she figured out her next move. And now that he was broke and fired, she'd flipped the game. Moved into scare tactics. Threats. Photo surveillance. All to get me to give up the one thing I still had over both of them, my house. I had to admit, it was genius. Evil, but genius. So now I'm sitting on this. A house they want, a past they screwed up, and a game they started. But I'm not playing defense anymore. I'm about to turn everything around. I started setting traps. Not the kind with wires and triple arms. I'm not that kind of person. But the legal kind, the financial kind, the public kind. First, I bought Jake out of the house. Quietly. My lawyer handled the transfer paperwork while I kept acting like I didn't know what was going on. Jake probably thought I'd cave, take the money, move somewhere else. But I didn't. I stayed. And now, legally, the house was mine and mine alone. Next, I took everything Lionel gave me on Sarah, her fake name, her wellness retreat intake forms, the burner phone, the threatening messages, and I compiled it into one clean, cold file. Then I sent it to every gym in the county she ever listed on her website. She was still trying to be an influencer. Still pretending to be a healing coach and prenatal fitness expert. One by one, they removed her. Canceled her. She got dropped from sponsorships. Her Instagram went private. She tried to control the damage, but it spread too fast. I didn't even have to lie. I just gave the facts. She retaliated by sending me a letter. A real, handwritten one. No threats this time. Just begging. Saying she was sorry, saying she was used too. Said Jake made her do some of it. Said she thought she was pregnant at first. Said she didn't know what she was doing. She ended it with, "I never wanted to hurt anyone." I'm sorry. I didn't answer. Then Jake showed up again. This time, he had a black eye and a bruised ego. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I opened the door and stepped out onto the porch, arms crossed. "You win," he said again. But it was different this time. Defeated. I lost everything. I didn't say a word. I was stupid. I thought she loved me. She took my money. Lied about the baby. I ruined us and I ruined myself. Still, I said nothing. He looked up at me, tears in his eyes. "You're not even going to yell at me?" "I already did," I said. "That part's over." He nodded, slowly. Then he turned to walk away. That could have been the end. But it wasn't. 3 weeks later, I got a call from the police. Jake had been arrested. He got into a fight with a man outside a bar in San Marcos. Apparently, Jake thought the guy was seeing Sarah. He wasn't. The guy was a bartender, and Sarah was just living in a cheap motel a few blocks away, scamming other people, trying to claw her way back into someone else's wallet. Jake was drunk, broke, and desperate. The fight ended with him getting thrown through a glass door. Assault charges. Hospital bills. No job. No money. His parents refused to help. And Sarah? She skipped town again. I visited the jail once. Not to see him. Just to make sure he was really there. And he was. Sitting on the other side of the glass, head in his hands. He didn't see me. I stood there for a while, watching him. Then I walked out. No words. No second chances. You see, we all made mistakes. I ignored the signs for too long. I let him lie to me because I wanted the life I thought we had. I let Sarah smile in my face while she slept with my husband. I let myself believe comfort was the same as love. But now? Now I live alone. In peace. I go to work. I walk Max. I do yoga. I sleep without checking my windows. And sometimes I sit in the kitchen, drink a glass of wine, and think about the moment Sarah reached out her hand at the gym and said, "Hi, I'm Sarah." like she didn't know who I was. And I remember the way her face cracked when I smiled and said, "That's funny." He yells my name in his sleep. Because that was the moment everything changed. That was the spark that lit the whole damn fire. And I let it burn.